of after school programs, at this point, I want to bring on Lauren Guillen. Lauren is the program director of Commonpoint Queens, which is an after school program in Queens, New York. Lauren, welcome.
Hi.
Hi, how are you today?
Good, thank you.
Good. So I know I gave a super brief intro about you here, but I would love if you could just share with everybody on the webinar today a little bit about yourself, about your program, and exactly what you guys are doing.
Absolutely. So we are an after-school program, as Becca had mentioned. Our program currently services grades K through 5, and we service typically about 150 participants. But during this time, the school year was very different from us. Formerly, we were in person, we did in-person services, but this year in particular, we adapted to the need of the remote world. So for the majority of this school year, we were actually in the remote space from October until about, I want to say, April. And so we were providing remote programming to our participants at that time.
Great. And are there any ways, or maybe you could explain some ways that Clickto sort of changed the way your program functioned and maybe how it impacted your students?
Absolutely. So last year, during the start of the pandemic, we actually pivoted to doing remote programming for our participants. And we had used different platforms just to kind of get a feeler of what we could do and different ways in which families were comfortable. This year in particular, we used Clickto as a means to deliver our remote programming. And the reason why we did that is because of the accessibility of Clickto, the fact that participants are given unique individual links. They're able to just simply click and then they're sent to their classes based on the schedule that's input for them. I also thought it was very flexible about the staffing procedure as well, assigning staff to classes. And so we use this platform in order to deliver our remote classes, and some of our remote classes that were on the board were things such as like homework support, STEM learning, as well as arts and crafts and other activities, which are, typically the staples in our recreational after school program.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. And, the beauty of the platform is really the ease that it provides your learners. So could you maybe walk us through sort of how they use the platform, or maybe what a typical week or day would look like for one of your learners?
Yes. So we did enrollment. We had our participants assigned to the platform, and so they were all delivered unique individual links, which are ones that they could bookmark onto their web browsers, either a tablet or their laptops, whichever device they were using. And they knew that that was the link that they could go to every day on a daily basis to go to the variety of classes that were assigned for the day. And so an example would be like we had students as young as kindergartners who were able to go with the help of like a parent, or if once they've gotten more accustomed, being able to click on the link that they have bookmarked and being able to log into their classes seamlessly and see the faces of the staff members that were there.
Mm-hmm. That's great. And in sort of the transition process of moving your program over to the Clickto platform, was there maybe any memorable moment or an aha moment of some kind that you can think about that you would maybe want to share with us today?
Thinking of an aha moment. Well, I think what kind of clicked for me, the joy of like the platform itself. We had a lot of fun kind of playing around with the features that were a part of the platform, such as like the whiteboard, the share, being able to do certain things that were more flexible in comparison to other programs. One thing that we really enjoyed was the whiteboard. Our participants really enjoyed it. We used it for the homework support function, as well as being able to use it for more recreational downtime activities that kind of brought everyone together. And so I think for me, that was a big point where it kind of won everyone over. The students at first, they were initially like, oh, I've never used this before. How do we use it? And then at a point where it kind of all became very seamless for them, and they really enjoyed that feature as an ability to really connect with their peers that they weren't necessarily seeing in their classes.
Great. Yeah, I've heard users say that before about the whiteboard feature. It's a nice thing to have in a virtual, space. I think it makes, a lot of these kids, especially when you're working with kids, feel like they are right there with you. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. I'm glad to hear that you guys are still having a lot of success with the platform and just with your program in general. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure.